Everybody else in this house feel what they're saying in here. Yeah. That your life is better. Yeah. And that things get better when you start following what God is giving on to you to do. Does anybody else know what I'm talking about? My fellas, y'all should feel that sometimes a man is a little bit pressure filled because you're supposed to know what you're supposed to do and when you're supposed to do it, and you're not supposed to be asking nobody for some help. Every once in a while, it feels better to let somebody else take the lead and go ahead and lead and make things a little bit lighter and a little bit easier on you. Praise team, you have set an atmosphere in here on today, and I thank you for that on tonight. It feels good in here. It smells good in here. Y'all look good in here. I think we might make something happen up in here. Something might go on up in here. I don't know if y'all just came for church as usual on tonight, but something might go down up in here. Lock the door, because something might go on up in here. Make sure nobody run up out of here. Something might happen up in here on today. And so I'm happy to be before you because I was already excited anyway. So I'm just glad that y'all on pace with me anyhow. You may have your seats on this evening. I am Pastor Keith. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. Welcome to Sunrise Christian Fellowship, where joy does come in the morning. We know it, we believe it, we say it, we stamp it, we stand on it, and we guarantee it that joy does come in the morning. And so what we are doing over here at Sunrise Christian is that we have been invited by Jesus to follow him all year long. He wants us to follow him and go where he's going and where he's taking us. And so we invite you to follow us as we follow him all year long, because he's called us to do something this year. He wants us to make some disciples this year. God is not looking for people that just come to the church. God ain't looking for some folks that just know a little bit of scripture or pick their Bible up every so often. God ain't looking for somebody who grandma's blessed and they, can call their grandma. God ain't looking for some people that say they only prayer they say is when they get ready to eat something. God is looking for some folks that actually want to come after him and do something a little bit different. And that part requires you to be what we like to call a disciple, but we will be poor shepherds if we didn't actually teach you what that means. Yes. And so all this year, we're talking about what it takes to be a disciple. And one of those things is holiness. Yeah, okay. And so this month and next month, we're talking about holiness. And I just want you guys to understand something real quick, because I'm going to give you what it is that I'm talking about on tonight, but I want y'all to know who I'm looking for. Yeah. Matter of fact, I'm looking through the room. I think I got almost everybody I'm looking for. I'm looking for people that come to church. Right. I'm looking for people that have been to church. Yeah. I'm looking for people, if you're on this video, you weren't looking for something that you didn't accidentally find. You found me on purpose. You were looking for something that's related to God or something that's related to Jesus. I'm not on here teaching you how to cook. I'm not on here telling you mac and cheese. I'm not telling you how to beat the next thing on Call of Duty. That's not how you found me. You was looking for something specific. So I want to talk to people that know something a little bit about God. If you don't, I want you to tune in, because this will save you many, many years of frustration if you pick up on what I'm getting ready to tell them. If you grab what I'm getting ready to give them early, it's like getting in soon. You know how sometimes you can buy stuff before it go on, you know what I'm saying? Before everybody else know about it. You see, you know what I'm saying? Like when Air Forces first came out, y'all don't know this, Air Forces was only like $40 because nobody was really wearing them. And then when people started wearing them, they shot up to $75. If you get in on what I'm talking about tonight early, that's good. Come on. It'll save you some money and some sweat and tears a little bit later on. And so let me help you out. I want to talk tonight for those of you that know God a little bit or come to church. And I want to talk to y'all, and I have a question, and it's going to be what I'm going to stick on all night, and it's the topic of what I'm talking about. I want to know, are you holy? Or are you just holy adjacent? Are you holy, or are you just holy adjacent? Let me define my terms before I ask you something that you may not understand. Holy means to be dedicated or consecrated to God. In layman's terms, it means to be set apart for God. It means to be called for God. It means to be pulled away for God for a specific purpose.
Basically, holy means to be different from the world. It means to be pure, but not perfect. Okay. All right?
Okay. Yes.
Adjacent. Adjacent means to lie near or close to something. It means something that's just before, just after, or kind of facing. It means to be related to or very close to. It's a subculture of being, it's a subculture of something without necessarily being a part of it. Let me break it down for you. Your house where you live, right? Or let's say your apartment where you live. Your neighbor is adjacent to you. Right. They don't live in your house. They don't. But they close to you. Yes. When you was in school and you sat in a desk, the person that sat to your right or in front of you or behind you, they didn't sit in the same desk even though they was in the same class with you. They sat adjacent to you. So they're not in what you're exactly in, but they close by, right? Yes. And so I'm going to go ahead and do something I normally don't do. I'm going to give y'all a hook before I give you the bait. I'm going to tell you what it's going to be about before I even get to the end. Okay. Matter of fact, I'm going to tell you what it's going to be about to where if you wanted to, you can go ahead and leave. It's not going to be all that clear to you just yet, but I'm going to tell you what I'm talking about already ahead of time right now. I want to know, are you holy or holy adjacent? You must make a choice. Either you're going to be holy or you're going to be holy adjacent. Either you can watch miracles or you can be a miracle. Either you're going to be healed or you're going to watch other people be healed. Either you can watch people be set free or you can be free yourself. Either you can be the one or you can just sit back and watch everybody else do it. It's up to you. It's up to you. Many of us know somebody that's holy, and that's what we call when we got a problem. That could be you. So you can keep calling grandma and keep calling grandma and keep calling grandma until you got to go to glory, or you can be the person yourself. It's a question. You're going to have to make a decision. Do you want to be holy or do you just want to be holy adjacent? Because again, I said adjacent means that you can be right next to him, right before. Do you want to be the person that comes right before the miracle or do you want to be the miracle? Come on. It's up to you. It's a choice that you have. Thank you, Jesus. We're going to Daniel again. Last time y'all was with us 2 weeks ago, we learned about Daniel and his partners. Daniel and his partners, right? Understand this from the very beginning. God set this up. God said in the beginning that he allowed them to be captured. Daniel and his partners get captured by this dude named King Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar takes them as captives, takes them back to Babylon, teaches them all this Babylonian stuff or whatever the case may be, preaches them up real good, tries to change their culture and everything that they stand for and all of that. And they said, no, we're going to remain holy. We'll learn all that you're trying to teach us, but we're going to remain holy. We're going to eat what we used to eat. We're going to talk how we used to talk. We're going to get down the way we used to get down. And we're going to pray to the God that we always been praying to, no matter what you're talking about. And that almost got them killed. That almost got them killed. Right? Dealing with this same king, right? And so they ended up, what happened with the king, though, when he needed something to happen, when he couldn't figure out how to make something go the way he wanted to, when he couldn't really find a breakthrough, when all the king's horses and all the king's men could not figure out how to put him back together again, he had to come to the holy ones, which was Daniel and the 3 Hebrew boys, and so they helped him out. And that helped them out. And they got promoted, right? They interpreted this dream for him, and it was talking about this statue. So Nebuchadnezzar gets in his mind, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and floss on him a bit. Right. You done told me this dream about this statue. Let me show you how I get down. So Nebuchadnezzar goes to the warehouse and gets a bunch of gold and builds a statue of himself, 90 feet high. Right. This is the biggest flex I've ever, like, you think your chain with your name, G Money on the front of it is a, he built a statue 90 feet high, all gold, everything, all gold. And it's going to look like me. I don't know about you. I kind of wish I could do something like that. Have a mansion with a statue of myself 90 feet high. This is everybody knows who live up here. It's me. Nebuchadnezzar builds this statue. And he tells everybody, check this out. This is what y'all going to do. When y'all hear the music play, y'all are going to bow down and y'all going to pray and worship this statue. That's what everybody going to do. Everybody up in here. And if you choose not to, we're going to go to verse number 6. Yes. He says, this is Nebuchadnezzar, anybody who refuses to obey will be immediately thrown into a blazing furnace. Now, a furnace, for those of you who don't know, it's not like a oven that your mama makes stuff in. A furnace was a huge thing. It was an industrial-sized furnace. They used it to melt metals and to make bricks. And if you can imagine the size of it, would be like cutting this room in half, and all of this is all fire, all the time, burning continuously to make things. He said, if you don't bow down and worship this statue that I built of myself, like I'm a God, I'm going to throw you into this furnace. And so they go on to verse number 7. In verse number 7, it says, so the sound of the music started playing. And all the people, whatever their race, nation, or language, bowed down to the ground, worshiped the gold statue that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. And it says in verse number 8, but some of the astrologers went to the king and informed on the Jews. Now you got to remember, these astrologers would be dead. If it wasn't for these Hebrews. They just saved them 2 chapters ago. They would be dead if it wasn't for these Hebrews, right? They did the right thing like they were supposed to. Just because you do right, I need you to understand, that don't mean that that's going to get returned back to you. Just because you do right by folks, don't mean they're going to do right by you. Has anybody ever heard that in school? Treat people how they want to be treated? Have you ever experienced people not treating you the way you want to be treated? Do you want to know why that is? That is a holy principle. The world can't uphold a holy principle because they're not holy. You can't do what God has for you to do. Only holy folk can treat people that treat them bad still well. Only holy folk can pray for somebody who's talking bad about you online. Only holy folk can cheat on your ex when you know that they was the one that slashed your tires. Only holy folk can do stuff like that. And put sugar in my tank and I still got to pray for you. Only holy folk.
Shots fired.
Messed up the whole engine. Only holy folk can do that kind of stuff. Because understand, being holy means to be different from the world. It makes you stand out. I need you to understand, your holiness is unto God. It's not unto people. So when people do stuff that you don't care for, when people don't treat you the way that you want to be treated, understand your holiness is unto God. That means that it is for between you and him. That means that nobody in this planet should be able to adjust your holiness. Nobody should be able to change the temperature of your holiness based off of how they treat you, because your holiness is up to God. I treat people right, and I treat people the way that God told me to treat them, because I'm doing this for God. I'm not necessarily doing it for them. You just get the benefit. Y'all understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so we continue on in the story in verse number 9. It says, because they just snitched on him for no reason, just snitching just to be snitching. And so they go a little bit further, start talking to him, and it says, they said to King Nebuchadnezzar, long live the king. They're gonna butter him up before they start snitching. You ensured a decree requiring all the people to bow down and worship this gold statue. And when we hear the sound of the horn, and when we hear the sound of the flute, and we hear the sound of the lyre and the lyre, and the harps and the pipes, and all the other music, when we hear the music, that decree also states that those who refuse to obey must be thrown into the burning furnace. But there are some Jews, here they go snitching, but there are some Jews, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, whom you have put in charge of the province of Babylon. They pay you no attention to you, your majesty, and they refuse to serve your God and do not worship the gold statue that you have set up. This is none of their business.
None of their business.
This is none of their business. Me praying or not praying had nothing to do with you. If I prayed into it or didn't pray to it, it had nothing to do with you. Mind the business that pays you, but they're over here doing stuff that ain't got nothing to do. This had no effect on them. They just wanted to snitch because they could. How come that what they were worried about was how come y'all are not being oppressed the same way I'm being oppressed?
Right.
I have to go because what the king asked for was oppression. When I play this music, you bow down and you praise me. That's oppression. When I tell you to do something, you do it right now. That's oppression. And they're trying to figure out, how come you not being oppressed the same way I'm being oppressed? Let me say it in a way that y'all may understand. How come you ain't lonely? Because I'm lonely. I don't understand why you ain't also lonely. You ain't got a man. You ain't got a girl. You're not lonely. I don't get it. Why you ain't angry just like I ain't angry? I ain't have a daddy. You ain't have a daddy. You not mad about that? I don't get it. Why you ain't angry? What you doing different than what I'm doing? I don't get it. Why you not disappointed the way I'm not disappointed? They cut our checks. They cut our hours, but you're not tripping. You're not ready to trip. I don't get it. Why are you not the same way? I don't get it. Y'all know holy folk. Holy folk, those of you that are trying to live holy, y'all know how people don't understand how we do stuff and they get mad at you. You don't smoke. Right. That's right. What you mean you don't smoke? Ever? You don't smoke cigarettes, you don't vape, you know, weed, what do you mean? You don't worry? Why you so chill? You don't worry? And you chill and you don't smoke? No. 1 and 1 always equal 2. You chill and you don't smoke? I don't understand how that works. You don't overspend? Ever? You can say no to a sale? Yeah. Your card ain't maxed out. I don't understand. You don't cheat on your girl at all. You ain't got a sneaky nothing. Nowhere. Not even a little piece of something. Nothing. I don't understand. You don't lie. You know how much more money you can get on your taxes? I got the homie. He'll hook it up. I promise you. I got the homie. He'll hook it up. Like he do taxes and everything out the crib. You know what I'm saying? Come on over to the apartments. He'll hook it up for you. You know what I'm saying? You'll come back with a $10,000 refund check. You know what? Loan. You don't. I don't understand. You don't scam a little bit? You mean to tell me you ain't never scan the Apple when it was a PlayStation game at Walmart? You ain't never done that? I don't get it. You don't scam? You don't scam? I don't get it. You don't scam? Not even a little bit? This don't make no sense. You don't masturbate at all? Bro, no, I gotta see the search history. I gotta see your browsing history. I don't believe you don't have a secret folder, you don't have a file, you don't have a private settings, you don't have, you ain't got something in the back. I don't get it. What you mean you don't a little bit, you don't do it? What? This don't make no sense. You don't gamble at all? Not even like fantasy? Just a quick parlay? Come on, the Lakers gonna hit. You ain't what? Nothing? I don't understand. You don't pop no pills? You ain't pop no Molly? Or Percocet? You ain't never Molly and Percocet? They wrote a whole song about it. I don't understand. You don't do none of this stuff. You don't do none of this stuff. Have you ever had people that have a problem with you because you don't have their problems? That was the issue that these were having with the Hebrews. They're snitching on them because they're oppressed, and they're trying to figure out why these people aren't oppressed, and so they're going to tell on them. They knew King Nebuchadnezzar couldn't ignore this without looking back. People are going to hate you because of your holiness sometimes, even when your holiness is benefiting them.
Right. Come on, sir.
Get used to that. Don't ever think that somebody didn't tell you. People will hate you because of your holiness, even when your holiness is helping them. Just be all right with it. Real talk. It's right here in the word. So then we get to verse number 13. It says, then Nebuchadnezzar flew into a rage, and he ordered that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego be brought before him because they did told on him. And when they were brought in, Nebuchadnezzar says this to him. He says, is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, after all I done for you, after all the stuff I done gave you, after all the promotions and the schooling and everything else I done gave you, is it true that you refuse to serve my gods and to worship the gold statue that I set up? That can't be true. Cannot be true. I need you to understand your holiness is going to be tested. Yeah. But I need y'all to catch this. Last time when their holiness got tested, they had Daniel with them. Right. Daniel not in on this one. Right. Daniel not in on this one. I need you to know sometimes your holiness is going to be tested, and your pastor ain't going to be there, and your grandma ain't going to be there, and your mama not going to be there, and you probably don't even want them to be there depending on what the test is. You on the couch with her. You don't want grandma there, but your holiness about to get tested because she didn't put the leg on top of your leg, and your holiness is going to get tested at some point in time. Your holiness, the person in HR said, I can give you a couple hours that you didn't even work for. Pastor not there wagging their finger looking at you saying you're going to take some extra hours that you didn't work for. Your holiness is going to be tested. When the enemy comes to test you, I need to know, are you holy or you just holy adjacent? Because somebody that's wholly adjacent will find an excuse to be able to go ahead and do what it is that they need to do.
Yeah. You're right.
Right?
You're right.
So then we got 15. Verse number 15, it says, I will give you one more chance. This is Nebuchadnezzar talking to him. I'll give you one more chance to bow down and worship the statue that I made. And when you hear the sound of the musical instruments, this time, just go ahead and do it. But if you refuse, he says, you will be thrown immediately into a burning, blazing furnace. And then, what God will be able to rescue you from my power?
Well.
You ever been put in a bad spot for doing the right thing?
Yep.
You know, you did the right thing, got the wrong result.
Yep.
Is that just me? Because that seems to happen to me all the time. You try to do the right thing, you got the wrong result.
Listen.
Right? God allowed them to be captured. Right? God got them into this situation. Remaining holy almost got them killed last time. And now here is death facing them in the face once again, all because they're trying to keep their holiness, to stay set apart, to stay dedicated to God, to be different from everybody else, to be pure but not perfect. I need y'all to understand something about God that y'all may not know. God is extra. Like extra. Like God is like really extra. Dig this. Y'all ever seen them posts when they be talking about like the perfect sunset and they be showing like sunsets over the ocean and it looks regular, but they was like how it looks when you walk out of Walmart and it looks all magical and majestic and the clouds are all this and it's all these fuchsias and orange and dark blues and it looks beautiful, but it's in front of the Walmart on Nellis. Why would God waste that kind of a sunset in front of the Walmart on Nellis when he could have put it in front of the beach in Bermuda? No, God is extra. You walking up out of there with some noodles like, oh my God, look at this. It looks so beautiful out here. I'm on Nellis. Let me get my keys real quick because I gotta know. I gotta be looking to make sure ain't nobody trying to get me while I'm going to my car. But man, it looks good out here. Oh, look at that sunset. God is extra.
Yeah.
He don't have to have no rhyme or reason why he does what he does. God is extra. And when you are holy, you have to understand, when you give God your dedication, you say, God, I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to obey you. I'm going to follow you no matter what it is that you want me to do. God says, good, I can do something extra with you. So instead of just taking you from A to B, we're going to go to A, A1, A2, A3. We're going to pick and roll over here. We're going to backdoor it over here. I'm going to throw it back this way, over behind the back. You're going to come back around this way. You're going to give them this money because you didn't have any money. And then you're going to say, God, how do I pay for this? And you're going to say, ask him for the money. Ask him for the same money I just gave that person. What sense does that make, God? Now I'm asking somebody money. Now they know I ain't got no money. And now they in my business about how I ain't got no money. Now I got to ask them for money. And then I got to figure out how I'm going to do this. And I'm just the whole time you tell them, yes, 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 yes. I don't get it. I don't know what you're doing. Yes, yes, yes. And what God does is he sets a grand stage using your life. Mm-hmm. And he sets all this stuff up.
My Lord.
Jesus.
All for a challenge. All for a challenge. Nebuchadnezzar said, what God is going to be able to keep you from my power? To me, Dana, that sounds like challenge. If y'all watch the Cosby Show, I'm older than y'all. But there's a dude on there, he be trying to tap dance with Bill Cosby, and he just keep telling him, challenge, over and over again. This is a challenge. That's what it was. He set all this stuff up to challenge him. God could have stepped in right here. And he said, nah, this dude want to challenge me. So let's see what it's going to be. Let's square up. Let's see where we're going with it. So let's square up. Let's see what you got. So verse 16, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego replied to him. This is how I see it. I wore my Chucks especially for this. In my mind, they went 3 and 9. In my mind. This ain't what the Bible say. In my mind. They kind of squared up with him and whatnot, because he didn't already insult him and said, what God can keep you from my hands and my power. In my mind, they was like, oh, I'm going to just tell you right now, oh, Nebuchadnezzar. That's what it's, that's why they said it, because they had to get their feet right. Oh. Woo! Oh, Nebuchadnezzar. We don't need to defend ourselves you at all.
Yeah.
There's a strength and a blessing in being able to stand together, unified in holiness. God understands this whole thing about unity. It's a blessing when you got somebody that's with you, that get it the way you get it, that get down the way you get down, that do it the way you do it. Somebody that prays the same way you pray. Somebody that'll fight with you the same way you fight. Somebody that'll hold you accountable and tell you tripping when you actually tripping. It's a benefit having some people in this fight with you. Y'all need some people. Let me understand it. I know you don't like people being in your business. I know you like to be separate. I know y'all like to keep things, over here, but not over here. Y'all have acquaintances and y'all don't really like labels and all that. You need to get you some people that actually will stand in this thing for you and will stand right alongside with you. Because I would imagine them getting ready to tell the king with their feet like this, getting ready to tell him, oh, Nebuchadnezzar, let me tell you, we ain't got to defend ourselves. Felt a little better because you had somebody on your right and your left. I don't know if they'd have said it the same with the same kind of vigor if they was up there by themselves. There's a blessing. God even says in his word, where two or more are gathered together as my followers, I'm going to be among them. So they say we don't need to defend ourselves. Then you got verse 17. It says, if we are thrown into the burning furnace, the God whom we serve is able to save us, and he will rescue us from your power, your majesty. This is how I know that people's like that. You know what I'm saying? Because they didn't have to throw that in at the very end. They just told them, like, look, if you want to know what God you're talking about, let me let you know, our God is going to be able to deliver us, your majesty. That's how it felt on me, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like they were just basically saying, you ask who gonna rescue us? Who gonna rescue us? God will. You want to know why we ain't tripping and why we ain't got to defend ourselves? Because we're holy. You don't understand what that means, King, but we're going to show you something today. We don't even have to do anything. We're holy. And the reason why we know we don't have to do anything, because when you're holy, God is willing to take on all fades from the enemy for you. God is willing to take on every fade that the enemy has going on. God's word tells you when you're holy and walking with him, it's a whole thing. It tells you about how he's got people in front of you, how he's got people behind you. That means before you get there, he got somebody in front of you already taking care of it. Then he got somebody behind you. Just in case somebody want to bring up what you used to be, they don't even cut your ear because I got somebody behind you. And then I got somebody on the side of you, just in case you get a little scared or whatever. Don't worry about it. We got you boxed in. And all around you, all the time, God said, I'll take on every single fade that the enemy want to throw your way. You ain't even got to defend yourself. I'm your provider.
Yes.
I'm your refuge.
Yes.
I'm your safe place. You ain't even got to fight. The battle is mine. It says the victory goes to the Lord anyway. So he tells them, he was like, listen, we don't even have to defend ourselves. And what I heard when I read it was it reminded me of that song. How did y'all help me? Because y'all know I can't sing. But y'all remember that song where it says, you ain't got to worry about a thing if you're holy. Yeah. If you're holy. And what?
And righteous.
Sing it again one more time.
You ain't got to worry about
They just standing there in front of the king like.
if you're holy and righteous.
And then one of them broke out saying, I never. That's how it went in my head. See, you know. For a second, I ain't got to worry about a thing. I don't even have to do nothing. I don't have to defend myself. They were not worried because you're holy. You can see the difference between the power source and a power manager. There's a difference between the power source. When you've been spending time with the Almighty, the one that makes the sun come up and go down, the one that tells the wave to go this way or south, the one that has a storehouse where the snow is stored and he goes and gets it and makes it happen. When you spend some time with the God that knows every single hair on top of your head, understands how to play the nuances of Call of Duty, and also which shoes are going to be hot the next year. When you spend some time with the God that understands why your girl is tripping, why you didn't get the job, and exactly how to pass the test so that you can be able to get in it. When you spend time with him, you get familiar with the power source. And so it kind of strikes you odd when somebody talks to you with authority when you realize they just a power manager. The only reason why you even got any power is because God gave it to you. You ain't nothing but a manager. I know the owner, and we all know we talk differently to the manager than we do the owner. And the tone changes a little bit when you're talking to the manager and you're talking to the owner.
Come on, sir. Yes. Good.
He's just a power manager. So I don't need to listen to this. Like King Nebuchadnezzar was only allowed to have that power because God gave it to him. And they knew it. So they was talking to him the way they was talking to him, Your Majesty. Then we get to verse 18. And they go a little bit further. They say, but even if he doesn't, even if he don't save us, we will make it clear to you right now. Your Majesty. They're talking hype to him. They're talking real crazy to him. Your Majesty, that we will never serve your gods or worship the gold statue that you have set up for you. They declare to him right now, you do understand them because this is a lose-lose for you, bro. It's a lose-lose for you. I done already told you, I'm not going to worship your gods. So you lose. And then if you kill me, Z, I'm dead. Now I really can't worship your gods. You lose. No matter how you look at this, it's a lose-lose for you. I'm not going to worship them if you let me go. And if you kill me, that's dumb. I really can't worship them then. It's a lose-lose for you. Nebuchadnezzar ain't like that. Oh, he ain't like that. He tripped out. Verse 19. Nebuchadnezzar is so furious with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego that his face became distorted with rage. He big man. He commanded that the furnace be heated 7 times hotter than usual. He big man. Then he ordered some of the strongest men in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and throw them into the blazing furnace. I'm telling y'all, he big man. And then it says, and because the king, in his anger, had demanded such a hot fire in the furnace, the flames killed the soldiers as they threw the 3 men in.
Wow. Too hot.
Mark, how the ones that got thrown in the fire lived, but the ones that threw them in the fire died?
Yeah.
I threw you in the fire. You live.
I'm out here.
I'm not in the fire. I burn up. I'm adjacent. I'm just close. I'm just near. I was just near it. I wasn't even lying. I'm just near it. I don't understand how that works. That the one that was a 10, you in it. You in it. And somehow I get hurt.
Not hurt, you.
When you're holy and God has put his hand on you, it's very dangerous to mess with God's anointing.
Dangerous.
It's very dangerous. That's why you have to be careful about who you talk to, who you mess with, and who you do wrong. Because you don't know if they're one of the ones that God has put his hand on. And understand this. When you mess with somebody that was God's anointed, you might become collateral damage. You was just doing what the boss told you to do, but you messed with God's anointed, and somehow it blew back on you. You were just riding with your cousin them because you ride with your cousin them, and that's your family, and they did this and whatever to your cousin them. So you got to ride with family, and you went over there, and then you got punished and beat up because you messing with God's anointed. I'm just saying, it can be collateral damage. Wow. Holy adjacent isn't the same thing as holy. They were next to some folks that was holy, but that ain't the same thing. It's not the same. There's a difference between being holy and being holy adjacent. So then we get to verse number 23, and it says, so Shadrach and Meshach and Abednego, securely tied, fell into the roaring flames. God, I'm in a life or death situation. I'm in trouble. And following you is what got me here.
Wow.
And to top it off, you're going to make it to where I can't do nothing about it. I don't know if y'all have ever had that type of situation where God told you to go to a thing and things got worse for you when you went to the thing. And because you were so believing in God that when you went to the thing, you burned your bridges, so you couldn't go back to the thing that you had before. So now you stuck in the thing, and it's getting worse and 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 worse. You know that's how it is when you get desperate. You start speaking for worse and worse, worse and worse, and worse and worse. And then on top of that, God is telling you, don't do nothing, just stay right there. Don't do nothing, just stay right there. Now you gonna tell me I can't do nothing. I can't mess with nothing. Even if I wanted to get myself out of it, I can't do nothing. God, I've been doing right, living right, speaking right, eating right, thinking right, praying right, calling right, talking right. Everything's coming out of me right. And I've got this wrong result that I'm stuck in. And I'm bound. And I'm stuck. And my life is on the line. And I can't do nothing about it. Cancer came. Can't do nothing about it. Got laid off. Can't do nothing about it. Somebody died. And I can't do nothing about it. But I'm stuck here following you, trying to keep my holiness with everything I got. But I love verse 24. Because verse 24 starts off with, but suddenly, but suddenly, but suddenly, but suddenly, but suddenly, I can tell y'all ain't been through nothing, but suddenly, but suddenly, but suddenly, oh, but suddenly, God, I'd be so happy for a but suddenly. Like, but suddenly, I've been asking and asking and asking and asking and asking and asking. Had them pray for me, had this person pray for me, had that person pray for me. I wrote it in Spanish, I wrote it in Italian, I wrote it in German, I wrote it in Braille, and I'm not even blind. I got it. But suddenly, y'all gonna get here with me. But suddenly, the call came through. But the deal went through. But the idea began to work. But the house dropped in price. But the fever broke out over. But the doctor looked at the scan again. But it started to all right. But you got a move. But you got moved to another department. But somebody came through and gave me a refund. I didn't even know I was entitled.
Work this text.
But suddenly, Nebuchadnezzar, and I love that they don't call him king. He adjacent. He ain't king right. But suddenly, Nebuchadnezzar, he jumped up in amazement and he exclaimed to all of his advisors. He explained to all of his people. He explained to all the folks that's around him. He explained to all the people that's been there, them astrologers and them soothsayers. He explained to your haters. He explained to your naysayers. He explained to your skeptics. He explained to your doubters. He explained to all of them. Suddenly, he started explaining some stuff to them, and he explained some stuff to them. He said, he stuttered. Didn't we tie 3 men and throw them into the furnace? And they like, yes, your majesty, we most certainly did. It was suddenly. It was suddenly, but this is what y'all may have missed. It says, but suddenly Nebuchadnezzar. It didn't say suddenly to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Because I need y'all to understand, that would be a contrary of the text. That would make the text a lie. It wasn't sudden to the 3. They told y'all a couple verses before that God was going to deliver them. It wasn't sudden to them. They had already told y'all what was going to happen. They were holy. They had been spending time with the Almighty. It wasn't sudden to them. They are used to being around when He's possible and what He's capable of doing. Y'all done tried to kill us a couple times. We living over here in the enemy territory to begin with. It wasn't sudden to us. It was sudden to the king. It was sudden to his advisors. It was sudden to his naysayers. It was sudden to the people that were doubting. It was sudden to all them. It wasn't sudden to the 3. And it wasn't sudden to the holy. And it wasn't sudden to the believers, Tanya. It was expected. It was expected. It wasn't sudden to them. It was expected. It was right on time. It was right when I needed it. It was, I knew you was going to do that. power manager. He was like the power source. And he was only holy adjacent. He wasn't holy. So it may have been sudden to him, but it wasn't sudden to them. We get to verse 25 and it says, look, Nebuchadnezzar shouted out, I see 1, 2, 3, 4. I see 4 men in there. Unbound. Walking around in the fire, unharmed.
Wow.
And the 4th looks like a god. Don't get too happy yet. They still in the fire.
Right. Right.
They still in it.
Yeah.
They still in the situation.
Yeah.
The car still don't work.
Come on, sir.
We still don't know how the baby gonna get here. They still in the hospital.
Right.
Mama's still sick. Yeah, we got an extension, but the bill's still coming. They still in it. They're still in the fire. But something shifted in them. Something changed about the situation. Something changed for them to where they were able to walk around freely in that fire, still unbound, and be like, I'm not really worried about it. I'm not really stressing about it. I don't know if that's ever happened to anybody else, where the problem wasn't, you wasn't taken out of the problem wasn't completely solved, but your ability to move around in it, your ability about how you felt about it, your ability to sleep on it anyway, your ability to still be happy, your ability to still say good morning. Good to see you, Sarah. I know you sent that email to get me fired, but it's so nice to see you. Have a blessed day. I don't know if y'all ever had situations like that. Well, God has done something in you, even in the midst that He didn't take you out of it. But you just don't feel like you in it no more. But you can still smell it. You can still see it.
Yeah.
If you get a little bit too comfortable, you can still touch it a little bit.
Right.
They still up in there. Now, I don't know. The text don't tell us if that 4th person was an angel or if that 4th person was Jesus himself. What I do know was that it was help in a time of need.
Right.
It was help in a time of need. It was holy help when they needed some help there. Because God sends holy help to the holy ones. When you're holy, God sends a different type of help than when you just help adjacent. When you just holy adjacent, God moves a little bit different for the holy ones there. It was holy help when they needed it. And so we get to verse 26. It says, then Nebuchadnezzar, again, they're not calling him king, came as close as he could. He the king. This is first. He set the temperature. He told them to do it. He put the people in there. It's on his land, in his house. And yet, he came as close as he could to the door of the flaming furnace and shouted, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, servants of the Most High God. No, don't come talking that now. No. Keep the same energy. Don't come talking that now. Because you said a couple verses ago, verse 15, I remember you said what God was going to deliver you from your power. I remember that's what you said. But now you're talking about servants of the Most High God. Come out and come here with all his power. He had to tell them to come to me. This your house, in your furnace, in your kingdom, on the land that you own, and all this other stuff that you have. We your subjects, as a matter of fact. We your captains, and you can't come in here and get us. It's because being holy puts you in places that will kill people that are unholy. Yes. Being holy will put you in places that holy adjacent people will die under that same kind of stress and restraint and issue and trial and tribulation. Being holy, God will allow some things to happen to you that will absolutely destroy those that are unholy. They can't figure it out. They don't know how you're able to keep pushing and dragging and keep moving on. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, but being holy sometimes God will allow you to be in the middle of something and you don't even feel it the same way that you should feel it. And people will look right at you and be like, I'd have been lost my mind if I had to do all that. I'd have killed myself. I got a question. Do you want to be supernatural? Or do you just want to watch the supernatural? Which one do you want to do? Because he got to watch the supernatural. Understand, sitting in these chairs, being in church, being around holy folk. Oh, it's a good movie. Oh, it's a lot to see. You get to see some miraculous stuff. You get to see some amazing stuff. You get to see some stuff that will make you jump out of your seat and say, oh my God, God got to be real. I just seen somebody do this. You'll see miracle signs and wonders that will blow your mind, but you are just a spectator. Wow. If you have not made a decision that you are going to be holy yourself, you will sit there your whole life, 20 and 30 years. Bless that wonderful name of Jesus. And you have yet to ever be involved in what God is actually doing. And you will believe or fool yourself into thinking that you just like them just because you sit next to them. Just because you're right around them. But you know in your heart of hearts, you're not doing what they do. You got to understand, these three have been fasting this whole time, eating right this whole time, praying, getting themselves in trouble for doing that this whole time, telling the king no, standing up for themselves, blessing those that was cursing them this whole time. This whole thing that happened for them would not have been possible if they did not remain holy. Because they could have made any type of excuse to just be holy adjacent. Oh, our ancestors built idols. You know what I'm saying? We wouldn't be the first one, and what we talking about ain't that bad. Oh, man, listen, man, we was going to die. So, you know what I'm saying? We could just, y'all know how we do. I could just do this right now. God will forgive me. He knows my heart. God knows my heart. I'll just ask for forgiveness later. But I don't want to die. They could have made any mistake or any excuse that they wanted to. But if you actually want God to do miraculous things in your life, for you, if you want God to be able to take you places that other people can't go, bless your life in ways that people won't be able to bless, be able to have power and anointing to do things that people are going to say is supernatural. If you want to be able to confound doctors and be able to say, I don't understand that. Who did you go see? And they say, I went and saw Mother Booker, and she put her hands on my baby, and now my baby is all, I don't understand. Well, who is Mother Booker? What doctor is she? She ain't no doctor. She's an old woman that came from Mobile, Alabama, but she's holy. And can do something a doctor from Harvard couldn't do. Right. You got to make a choice tonight. Are you going to be holy? Or are you just going to sit in here and be holy adjacent? Because it is going to take you, you got to make a decision. And it is going to cost you something. So then we get to 27. It says the high officials and the officers and the governors and the advisors and then all these other people that don't matter crowded around me. And they saw that the fire had not touched them. The same fire that burnt somebody just being close to it had not touched them. Said not a hair on their head was singed, and their clothing was not scorched, and they didn't even smell like smoke. If you are holy and you're in this building, if you're going towards holiness and you're in this building, if you're moving closer to God and further away from sin, if you are trying to be different from the world, trying to be pure but not perfect, trying to be consecrated and dedicated to God, I tell you on today, keep going, keep striving, keep trying, keep pushing. Allow God to finish the work that he's doing in you. Remain holy, because one thing I know for certain and two things for sure, you are going to come out of it not looking like what you just was in. They came out of that fire furnace looking like something that they didn't understand. They touching their clothes. They're looking at their hair. You don't look like what you was just in. This don't make any sense to me. I don't understand. I don't get it. How did you come out of that better than when you went in? Let me tell you personally. When COVID hit in 2020, that was the best year of my life.
Man, come on.
While everybody else was suffering, while everybody else was trying to figure out how they was going to make ends meet, while everybody else was trying to get toilet paper and hunt people down and everything, while everybody else was doing whatever, my online business was booming. I did not want that shutdown to stop. Keep talking around. I didn't want people to die. But I mean, take the sickness part out, leave the lockdown. That's what I wanted. Take the sickness away, leave the lockdown. Because it was the best time I had ever had. If people during a shutdown that I made 2015, 17, 18, 19, 21, 22, 20. I still ain't hit my COVID year. I was living right. And I was doing things the way God told me to do. And so many turns and so many twists. And I need y'all to understand, a lot of times it be the little things that come after your holiness. I had little things that was coming on, little things that I could adjust or hoodwink or did a little bit different or been dishonest about. But because I said I wouldn't do it, because I took the pack of water back, Tanya, because I only paid for 2. I had 3 in the cart. She didn't ring one up. And I went all the way back home and came all the way back to Smart and Final. And the lady just told me, oh, you could have just kept it anyway. It's not that big of a deal. But since you're here, I'll make you pay for it.
Right. Right.
It was the best year I've ever had because I remained dedicated, consecrated, separated from everything else. And everything I did for God was his. I didn't care what nobody else was doing. And so there's a choice that y'all have to make tonight. Amber, you can play. Are you going to be holy? Or are you going to be holy adjacent? It is a choice that you have to make. It is a decision that only you and only you can make. And what would pain me more than anything else is for you to sit here uninformed that just because you're in the building, and we do believe it, there's benefits of being in the building. You are blessed just because you step foot in New Antioch Christian Fellowship at Sunrise. You are blessed because this is a holy place, a consecrated place, a place that is set aside for God, different from the world. You are blessed because you're in here. There's a higher blessing that you're in.
Yes, yes.
There's a better life that God has. They sung when the praise team sung that there's a life that you could have when you allow yourself to follow God over into holiness. And so I give that invitation, the same one that he's given all of us. Will you come follow him? Will you allow him to change the nuances of your life? Will you allow him to allow you to be separated and set apart from everybody else? Will you allow him to be able to do some things with you that he doesn't do with everybody else? I need y'all to understand. It's not always fun. It's not always fun. But boy, is it rewarding when God decides to use your life to set a grand stage in front of everybody else and show his power and show his might and show how great and grand he can be for anybody. And I need you to know it's not reserved for just one of us. It's reserved for anybody that wants it. And so the floor is yours. If you are saying, God, I know I want to be more consecrated. I want to come closer to you. I want to dedicate everything.